I am very rarely surprised. When you cover the filth in the media 7 days a week, 365 days a year for the last 2 years, shock factor tends to wear off after a little while. But not gonna lie to you, I was a little bit surprised when I saw this ratings report this afternoon. Sports Media Watch did all of the legwork. They compiled a list of the most watched sporting events of 2022. Now, we cover ratings for all major sports leagues extensively here on the channel. I don't touch on the NFL too much because their ratings are just so dominant. But the NBA, Major League Baseball, the Olympics, hell, we even give the dump divers some undeserved attention and talk about the dismal ratings in the WNBA. Same goes with the NWSL. Now, I don't expect anyone to compete with the NFL. There is nothing on television that can compete with the NFL, but when we're talking about a list of the 50 most watched games of the year, I expect the NBA to at least make the list. I don't have that same expectation for Major League Baseball. Expectations for baseball are low. If Rob Manfred managed to pull his head out of his own ass, my expectations would be exceeded. Now, of course, I have zero expectations for the dump. The only thing I expect from the WNBA is for them to go out of business. But for me personally, it's different with the NBA. I know it may not seem like it because I shit on the league so much, but I love the NBA. When you are emotionally invested in a team and that team is fun to watch, they're winning, the NBA regular season can be captivating. Me and my girlfriend, we look forward to watching the Pelicans 3 or 4 nights a week. Sometimes she even gets into it more than I do. Our poor dog, she usually watches TV with us at nighttime in the living room. Soon as that game comes on, dog runs back to our bedroom and gets under the bed. She cannot stand us yelling at the TV. When you strip away the woke politics, and if you can ignore the bullshit, the NBA really is a great league, which is why my expectations for them are higher. Baseball's boring. Most Americans don't give a shit about soccer. The NHL is a niche sport. If the NBA could get out of their own way, they could draw respectable ratings. The problem is, they can't get out of their own fucking way. Sports Media Watch compiled a list, 50 most watched sporting events of 2022. Unsurprisingly, the NFL dominated the list, taking up the first 32 slots. Coming in at number 33, national championship game in college football, 22.6 million viewers. The NFL occupied 45 of the 50 slots. The Olympics, the World Cup, college football took the other 5 spots on the list. The NBA failed to make the list. But KC, this shouldn't be surprising. Nothing can compete with the NFL. I mean, this part wasn't all that surprising, although in 2019, Game 6 of the NBA Finals came in at number 14 with nearly 19 million viewers. Last year's NBA Finals, you had to combine 2 games to reach 19 million. 2019, though, the NBA occupied 10 spots on the list of most watched events of the year. That's called meeting expectations. That is what I expect from the NBA. You don't have to dominate the list, just make the damn list. You shouldn't be losing to soccer. I don't care if it's the World Cup. There was a World Cup in 2018 and 2019. NBA still made the list then. How come they're not making it now? Because they have alienated half of their audience. Like I said, I wasn't all that surprised, though. The NBA didn't have one game make the top 50, but I was surprised with the next list. Sports Media Watch, they did the extra work to compile a list of the 50 most watched sporting events with the NFL excluded. Now, this is where the NBA should dominate, right? I mean, this is the number 2 league in America, right? That's what we're always told by the media. Hell, just 4 years ago, some in the media were claiming the NBA would overtake the NFL in popularity in 5 years. Remember that bold prediction from Jalen Rose? I know us normal people have never confused Jalen Rose with a scholar, but students at Woke U, they think he's smarter than Confucius. On the list with the NFL excluded, the NBA should have at least one game in the top 5, right? Top 10? Half of the top 10 was college football, 2 games from the World Cup, 1 event from the Olympics, and 2 games from March Madness. Once again, college basketball dominating the NBA. This is the only sport where amateurs outdraw the professionals. The two college basketball games included North Carolina, Duke, and Kansas. Three powerhouse programs, three traditional programs. There's what? I don't know, 50, 60, 70 players combined on those three teams. I would be willing to bet you couldn't name one of the players. I can't name one, and I watch basketball. The NBA doesn't appear on the list until you get to number 14. Most watched NBA game of 2022, Game 6 of the NBA Finals, 14 million viewers. That is pathetic. That is pathetic. From 2010 to 2018, you know how many games in the NBA Finals drew 14 million viewers or less? Zero. None. 52 games, all drawing over 14 million. From 2019 to today, there have been 24 games played in the NBA Finals. 20 of the 24, less than 14 million viewers. That is how far the NBA has fallen in the span of 3 or 4 years. Outside of one series, the finals has included what the media claims are the top drawing teams in the league. Warriors, Lakers, Celtics. And they still can't attract shit to fuck. Like I said, back in 2019, the NBA had 10 games on the list of the top 50 that included the NFL. 2022, with the NFL excluded, the NBA had just 6 games on the list. College basketball had 7. Hell, even Major League Baseball, a league very few people give a shit about, they managed to get 6 games on the list. This should be embarrassing for Adam Silver and the NBA. Your league is not resonating with the casual viewer. The Kentucky Derby should not beat the NBA Finals. The Final Four March Madness should not beat the NBA Finals. I received a Twitter notification earlier this afternoon. It was an update on Damar Hamlin. According to multiple sources, Damar Hamlin awoke from his coma. He was able to communicate with doctors. You know what one of the first things he said was? Did we win the game? Now, of course, shitfucks on Twitter are trying to spin that into a negative. It's sad that he woke up with the expectation that the NFL forced players to finish the game. These people. Anyway, it reminded me of something we talk about all the time when it comes to the NBA. Relatability. Normal people can relate to a guy like Damar Hamlin. He's a fighter, his toughness, his fight to survive. The first thing he asked, it wasn't about himself, it was about his team. Around the same time I came across that news, I came across a clip of Gregg Popovich. Last night, the Spurs were in New York City to play the Knicks. It was another loss for San Antonio on what is hopefully the retirement tour of Gregg Popovich. This dude is one of the greatest coaches in the history of the NBA, but he cannot retire fast enough. Every time he opens his mouth, it is nothing but toxic mouth farts, rivaled only by those yentas on The View. The clip I found was from his pregame press conference. Now, you would figure Gregg Popovich would be talking about the upcoming game against the Knicks. If so, you'd figure wrong. Yesterday morning, Gregg Popovich woke up and decided that he was going to identify as a comedian, which is acceptable behavior in woke America. You have the right to identify as whatever you want. What if I want to identify as a light socket and have lonely men stick their plug in me? That's just wonderful. Here is Gregg Popovich's idea of comedy. Roll the film.
Well, I had an interesting day the other day at Baruch College. I was looking everywhere, in the gym, everywhere for a picture of Santos. I couldn't find one. I thought maybe he'd have played sports or something while he was there. Because that's where he went to school, right? Yeah. Yeah, he went to school there. Yeah.
Can someone please explain to me why an NBA head coach who has lived in San Antonio, Texas the past 30-something years is talking about some doofus politician from New York City? Better yet, can someone please explain to me why any NBA head coach is talking about a politician? Look, I kind of get it. The Spurs are absolutely atrocious. Gregg Popovich is trying to have a little fun at his press conference. He gets tired of laughing at his shitty team. He wants to laugh at something else. I mean, the George Santos guy is a confirmed liar. He's an embarrassment to the Republican Party, almost as embarrassing as Mitch McConnell. Now, that being said, though, what the hell does George Santos have to do with basketball? It would be one thing if the politics in the NBA were balanced. Pop makes a joke about George Santos, Willie Green makes fun of Kamala Harris, LeBron James takes a dig at Trump, Steph Curry makes fun of Joe Biden. Now, I would rather none of them talk politics, but it would be different if it were balanced. But as you guys know, it's not. It's always one-sided in the NBA. Kind of hard to draw an audience when you're alienating half the country. Which is why it's not all that surprising the NBA doesn't make the top 50. But let me know what you think. NBA fails to make the list, barely cracks the top 15 when the NFL's excluded. Are you surprised by this? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.